You get bags and stickers coming through your letterbox asking for donations of clothing or other items? Do you know that many of these collectors are not registered charities? It is against the law to falsely claim to be a charity. Only registered charities are regulated. Give with your head as well as your heart. Make sure your donation is going to a registered charity by checking the Register of Charities at www.charitiesregulator.ie. A message from the Charities Regulator and An Garda Síochána.
Bet smart this season with stat betting on the Boyle Sports app. For the first time ever, bet on shots, shots on target, tackles, passes, assists and more, all powered by Opta. Why not check out the hottest action on the biggest game of the week right now on the Boyle Sports app? Boyle Sports. This is betting. Need help? Contact gamblingcare.ie. 18 plus.
COVID-19 has disrupted all our lives. And thanks to the patience, cooperation and resilience of the Irish people, infection rates have fallen.
And we can now look forward to Christmas with hope.
But we do need to celebrate safely
to keep the COVID-19 numbers as low as possible
and protect those at risk.
Level 3 restrictions will apply from the 1st of December.
So shops and other services can reopen, and we can travel within our own counties.
Cafes, restaurants and pubs operating as restaurants will reopen on Friday the 4th of December.
Special measures for Christmas begin on the 18th of December until the 6th of January.
When we can travel outside our own counties.
And have visitors from 2 other households.
Let's work together to stay safe this Christmas.
For full details, please go to gov.ie/Safe Christmas.
Supported by the Government of Ireland.
Fed up of cooking? Centra is everything you need for hassle-free dinners. From Centra family-ready meals like tasty cottage pie, or our meals for one like ham and mushroom tagliatelle, to our delicious inspired-by pizzas. Pop in the oven, put up your feet, dinner's done. Centra. Live every day.
The Saturday panel on Off the Ball.
And you're welcome back to Off the Ball Saturday here on News Talk. John Duggan with you through until 5 o'clock. You can text us as always on 53106. We're streaming live as well now. You can watch us on the Off the Ball social channels for Periscope on Twitter, at Off the Ball, on YouTube and on Facebook. We're also streaming on the OTB Sports app, so search OTB Sports in your app store to download it for iOS and Android if you haven't already. This is the Saturday panel. We're talking Gaelic football over the next hour in the company of 3 now former inter-county managers: Lenny Harbinson, who was in charge of Antrim, Benji Whelan, who was over the Waterford senior team, and the ex-Carlow boss, Turlough O'Brien. I'll start with you, Lenny. Having managed county that might not have seen that much success, Antrim, you must have been delighted to see Cavan and Tipperary win provincial championships last weekend, Lenny, because you ran Cavan to 4 points in Ulster.
Yes, absolutely. I was delighted to see Cavan, as you say, Cavan and Tip. It's been a long time coming for both counties. I think Tip had to wait, best part of nearly 85 years, and Cavan something like 23 years. But having said that, when you use a forensic eye and you look at both counties, they have been knocking on the door over the last number of years in terms of their previous preparation. So it didn't come as a surprise. If you look at Cavan had contested an Ulster under-21 final in 2010. They won Ulster in 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, and in 2015 they lost to Tyrone, who subsequently went on and beat Tip in an All-Ireland under-21 final. So I suppose what I'm saying is that there's been a lot of hard work done behind the scenes in Cavan, the likes of Terry Hyland, and that has stood them to good stead. And then when you look a wee bit closer at Tipperary, I think it's been well voiced that they were in an All-Ireland final, I think around about 2011, where they beat Dublin. Their under-21s have contested somewhere in the region of 6 or 7 under-21 finals in Munster from about 2008 right through to 2015 or 16. So again, the hard work has been done behind the scenes in those counties. So although they've waited a long time, they've been working hard, and you could, in a similar fashion, if you look at Limerick hurling, again, a lot of hard work done behind the scenes, which bore fruit for a couple of years ago when the senior hurlers won the All-Ireland. So for me, that's possibly the frustration in Antrim. A lot of hard work, no disrespect to the Gaels and Antrim, but it hasn't been done at underage level. So consequently, we've found it very difficult at senior level.
And would you have been a similar boat, Benji, with Waterford football? You have the hurlers, you have Desi Hutchinson playing for you now. He's playing this evening. He could be in an All-Ireland final tonight. Is it harder to replicate in a county like Waterford what Tipperary have done for you?
Well, it is, because we haven't the seed sown, I suppose, as Lenny has just said there. You know, we've no tradition underage. We haven't achieved anything underage of any note in the past 15, 20 years. And like, they are absolutely the seeds that you need in order to try and, would say, drive it on at the senior level, because it comes down to belief at the end of the day. And if these young guys haven't experienced the right things on the way up, well then, you know, you don't get the buy-in when they get to the adult level. And, you know, going back to the hurling, I suppose, look, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on which side of the fence you're on, a lot of people are sitting on the fence. We are in a hurling county now, in Waterford, and like, we've got to look at this objectively. We've got to go back, I suppose, to the grassroots, the smaller kids, and actually figure out what we have to do at that level to try and improve from there, to make their experiences better as they come up through the ranks of juvenile structures. And then, would say, stand them in front of you then and ask them, are they going to go to the next level and drive the senior team to success? And I suppose that's where we're looking at now at the moment.
How did you find the COVID season, Benji? Was it challenging? Was it enjoyable with Waterford?
It's always enjoyable and it's always challenging. So like, COVID made it a little bit more difficult. I suppose there was more things to keep your eye on, and we were just very conscious of the lads' safety, especially at training and especially congregating. Even, you know, things like meals had to be had outside, you know, weather permitting. And then if the weather was bad, they took their meals away. So like, the smaller things were very, very difficult to manage. But once we got into the routine, it became easier. The break in the season, I suppose, gave me the opportunity personally. I don't know how the lads feel, but gave me the opportunity to assess, I suppose, you know, what exactly I was getting out of it and what exactly I was putting into it. And I suppose that was something that you wouldn't generally have, because it is only at the end of the season you kind of sit down and you say, with a big sigh, wow, that took a lot out of me, or whatever it did, or I really enjoyed that, or whatever. But coming mid-season, it kind of rebalanced the thing, I suppose, and gave you food for thought.
What was your experience like, Lenny? Was it difficult to hold the interest of the players if you're a team in Division 4, or was it more harder this year? Was that maybe one of the reasons you stepped away?
It was challenging. I suppose it was challenging for everybody, but certainly from an Antrim perspective, we had got ourselves into a winning position and a promotion position, and then come March, I think after we had a very good win against Limerick at home, the following week we were due to play Wicklow, and subsequently COVID kicked in, the restrictions. At that stage, I was sort of thinking it could be, you know, a 6-week or a 10-week lockdown. So the first few weeks, we tried to touch base with the players once a week in terms of giving them their strength and conditioning program, their athletic development program. And then we did a few Zoom calls, probably like many counties, just to keep the interest. And then when it became quite clear that COVID wasn't going to go away, in fact, we were going to be in lockdown for quite a long time, then at that stage we made the call to the players to say, look, you know, let's just take a complete break in terms of meeting once a week over Zoom calls, and, you know, have a mental and a physical break. So that was difficult. You know, we lost, probably like many counties, a lot of momentum. And then subsequently, it was great to get back in September, but it certainly was a strange feeling, because even the practicalities of turning up to training, you couldn't go indoors, you couldn't have a shower afterwards. If it was quite a wet night, you know, it was, you know, and players needed treatment. So it was quite difficult, albeit I think a lot of people were great to get out of the house and in a privileged position to do that as elite sports people.
Yeah, and you had a Dundalk compromise where Antrim and Waterford played in Dundalk during the whole thing because of issues related to COVID. We saw there was reports yesterday, and this could happen now next year, that we have a inter-county season without preliminary competitions from February to July. So the league from February, April to July, the championship, and then a period for club activity solely after that. Is this a fairer calendar, Benji, in your view?
Yeah, 100%. I suppose looking at it from both points of view, preparation of a county team and also we'd say the county player. I mean, like one of the things that's been voiced regularly since we'd say this season has started has been the county players' enjoyment of their club activities and then switching over to county activity. And I think that's the fair way to treat those guys. I mean, they're probably given the most of any player during any calendar year. So I think that was really good. It really appeals to me to have separate seasons and not have this, I suppose, month of April where no one knew what it was at this stage. So it's very appealing to have, from a club perspective, a separate season there where you can actually say to club players, right, look, our preliminary league activity is going ahead these couple of months, and then we're right into championship once we're 4 weeks out of inter-county activity. So that's very appealing, I suppose.
Is it appealing, and is it more fair in your mind, Lenny? There probably won't be any Super 8s in football. If you were the mayor of Gaelic Athletic Association and if you were given the opportunity yourself to design a 2022 championship, for example, would it be along the lines that what we're going to have next year with leagues and then the championship with just qualifiers? Would you want to reimagine something completely different?
Our best competitions are the leagues, in my view, and everybody's there based on merit. So consequently, if you drill down and look at it at every county in Ireland, they have their senior championship, they have their intermediate, and then have their junior, and they do that for a reason. It works quite well because of the capability of various teams throughout the county, and I think it's it should be replicated, in my view, at a senior level. That the Division 1 and 2 teams play in the Sam Maguire competition, and that the Division 3 and 4 teams play in a second tier competition. Now, I know some people might point to the success of Cavan and Tipperary last weekend, but we've already said that Tipperary had waited 85 years and Cavan 23 years. So is that a fair reflection on saying Division 3 and Division 4 teams should be in the Sam Maguire and being beat out the door by 15 or 20 points, depending on what team that they're playing? So I think it should be split. My concern is, and I'm just looking at the current proposals out for the National Football League, and they're talking about geographically splitting, for example, Division 4, which is a very, very competitive division, which we're all familiar with, and talking about maybe just giving 3 games, for splitting it into 2 fours. I think that's wrong. I think the competition and the way the division has been set out is excellent and very competitive. And they being the Central Council are messing around with the structure there. I think that Division 3 and Division 4 teams should go into like a Champions League format, where what do players want? They want plenty of games. When I played for Antrim for the best part of 12 years, between the mid-80s and the 90s, for 12 years we won out of the championship in the first round. So there were some games there. Yes, we could have won. We ran Tyrone close in 1987 after they were in the All-Ireland final of 86, and we drew in Casement and they beat us by a point up in Omagh. But, year after year, we went out after one game. So my fear is that if they're going to mess around with the current structure in Division 4s and 3s and so on, I think that's wrong. They should keep it as is, and they should blend both Division 3 and Division 4 teams and play a Championship League format where we're getting more games, less training ratio, and hoping, yes, it has to be all built around a meaningful, PR in terms of TV rewards, all-stars and all that. That's a given. That has to be there. Games played before, the Sam Maguire quarterfinals or semi-finals and so on, and get players to buy into it. But that would be my view.
So Liverpool have taken the lead, guys. I don't know if you're any Liverpool fans among you, but it's Diogo Jota scored against Brighton in the Premier League, 1-0 to Liverpool, 61 minutes on the watch. Turlough O'Brien has joined us now. Turlough, You remember you were the man in charge when Carlow defeated Kildare, and there was that huge outpouring of emotion a couple of years ago in the Leinster Championship, and I think he'd beaten them since 1953. So you must have identified with the Tipperary and Cavan squads last weekend.
Oh yeah, I think all the smaller counties would have been thrilled for the players in both counties. You know, it's these victims are seldom, and when they come around, they're really special for players and everybody in the county. It means so much to a whole county and local communities and the clubs and parishes. You can't put a high enough value on it, to be honest with you. And I know it's maybe success is fleeting, really, but it's more enjoyable maybe because of that.
Would that, in your mind, distill an argument that we should be retaining the provincial structure for you, Turlough?
Well, I've been a strong supporter of the provincial structure because I believe it's for very important competitions in their own right. Now, you can say Leinster is completely one-sided for the last 10 years, and that's true. But we have to fix that, really. I don't think you can throw the baby with the bathwater. I mean, Ulster and Connacht in particular have been very competitive, and I think anybody that can win a provincial championship would value winning that province. Maybe apart from Dublin at the moment, they might consider it to be, just run of the mill, but everybody else, it would be a huge achievement if you could do that.
We can talk about this after the news, Turlough. But how would you start fixing Leinster? Do you put stimulus? Do you put money into the other counties?
Well, there's a whole lot wrong. It's I suppose we're all focused on Dublin, but I think we should forget about Dublin, really. We should look at, I suppose, equality in our structures, really, and the competition structures are unbalanced, and the way it's set up does favour the stronger team. And I think we need to look at, equalisation maybe in terms of, that, for instance, games are played, at local venues. I mean, we've seen Dublin be drawn against Laois and having to play in Kilkenny and playing Carlow and Portlaoise, and teams have to go to Croke Park now to play in the All-Ireland final when it could be played in, a provincial venue. They're small things, but over time it gives Dublin that opportunity to build up that, that air of invincibility, because all the advantages are stacked in their favour, and the whole thing in terms of funding and all of that is all part of it. And until those things are addressed, we're going to have those problems, because we have created a hugely successful operation in Dublin, and you have to take your hat off to them, what they've done in terms of value for money and return on their investment. Have been phenomenally successful, and John Costello should be Minister for Finance and what he's done up there. But it's not helpful for the rest of the country, though, that there's so much resources going into one county and everybody else is really picking. It's a pittance really for everybody else.
OK, got to take a break. Back with more from Lenny Harbinson, Benji, Whelan and Turlough O'Brien on the Saturday panel after the news on Gaelic football. Any questions for our panel? 53106. Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. Don't go away.
The Saturday panel on Off the Ball.
At Centra, we have everything you need for Christmas. Like inspired by Centra Christmas puddings now half price. Save 33% on Centra fresh Irish beef round roast, now €8.03 per kilo. And until Sunday, our Christmas cracker offer on Hornhead Sauvignon Blanc and Malbec wine, 2 for €15. Centra, live every day. Enjoy cost sensibly.
Make it a really good afternoon and check out the great car insurance discounts at insuremycars.ie. Ireland's trusted car insurance specialists. For super family savings, check out insuremycars.ie. City Financial Marketing Group Limited, trading as insuremycars.ie, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Welcome to Go Loud Jazz, the new home for jazz music in all its forms. Big band, bebop, smooth, and everything in between. Featuring a mix of new tunes and famous tracks by legendary artists, from Monk and Davis, Parker and Coltrane, to Ella and Billy. Go Loud Jazz. Fascinating rhythms. Download the Go Loud app now for free. Go Loud. Podcasts, radio, and music to your ears.
This weekend, News Talk and Champion Green have come together to support local businesses right across the country by turning Black Friday green.
I'm Marion O'Gorman, CEO of Kilkenny Design. It is now more important than ever in the midst of a pandemic to spend your money locally while retaining local jobs. Please use your spending power this Christmas to help renew your community and the local economy.
Shop local, click local and give local this Christmas. Take the pledge to Champion Green now at championgreen.ie. Proudly supported by Newstalk. Because it's up to us.
Electrify your 2021 with Hyundai's broadest ever range of electrified SUVs. The all-new Tucson Hybrid, completely redesigned with a dramatic new look. The all-new 7-seater Santa Fe, now available as plug-in hybrid. Or the Kona family, the compact SUV with full electric and hybrid options. Visit Hyundai.ie to view our electrified SUV range. Hyundai, on to better.
In a year where everything seemed different, one thing stays the same. Virgin Media Red Friday is back. We're bringing you awesome offers and unbelievable gifts too, from the 12th to the 30th of November. Bring on amazing. See virginmedia.ie.
Our health service is here for you this winter, and we're taking every step to protect you from COVID-19. Our services are open and working, from routine appointments to urgent care. Remember to check your prescriptions and keep a list of your medicines handy. And look out for your Keeping Well This Winter booklet in the post. Visit hse.ie or call HSE Live on 1850 24 1850 for more information. From the HSE.
Mando, thank you for coming.
I'm here on business.
The acclaimed series returns to Disney+.
I've been quested to bring this one back to its kind.
This is no place for a child.
Wherever I go, he goes.
Experience the next chapter.
Cover me! Go, go, go! This is the way.
The Mandalorian. New season now streaming. Only on Disney+. 18+ subscription required. T's and C's apply.
Bet smart this season with stat betting on the Boyle Sports app. Bet on shots, shots on target, tackles, passes, assists and more, all powered by Opta. Plus, put your feet up and cheer your bets home with free live streaming on every UK and Irish horse race. Why not check out the hottest action on the biggest sporting events right now on the Boyle Sports app. Boyle Sports. This is betting. Need help? Contact gamblingcare.ie. 18+.
For the year that's in it, the I Knew It collection are gifting you with an extended Black Friday sale. From now until November 30th, enjoy 10% off our gift vouchers at iknewit.ie. The I Knew It collection gift card is the perfect Christmas gift to enjoy in any of our 9 hotels across Ireland. From our 5-star Muckross Park Hotel and Spa to the Radisson Blu in Cork, Athlone, Limerick and Sligo. Get 10% off your gift vouchers now at iknewit.ie.
As daily life continues to be impacted by COVID-19, at Ulster Bank we want our customers to know that we'll continue to provide support. Like our telephone banking team, who are on hand to help get you set up if you're new to online banking. Talk to them today on 1850 424 365. It's just one of the many ways we can help. Because life goes on, and we'll go on providing support. Ulster Bank. Help for what matters. Telephone, online and mobile banking criteria applies. Ulster Bank Ireland DAC is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
The radio. It can take you back to Christmas shopping on the 8th of December.
Motorists are requested to avoid travelling to Dublin due to heavy...
Dad had gone up to Dublin. Mum was furious.
Where did you get to?
Until she saw the beautifully presented box of delicious Butler's chocolates. Thankfully, shopping online makes it a little easier these days. Visit your nearest Butler's Chocolate Cafe, selected retailers nationwide, or search butlerschocolates.com now.
On 106 to 108 FM, on newstalk.com, on smart speaker, and on the Newstalk app. This is Newstalk.
It's 2 o'clock. Good afternoon. I'm Adrian Harmon. A man in his 60s has been killed and 5 others injured following the partial collapse of a building in County Kerry. The incident happened at Ash Street in Tralee shortly after 8 o'clock this morning. It's understood the chimney section of the building collapsed on the victim during renovation works. The 5 other men have been taken to University Hospital Kerry, where their injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. The scene has been sealed off and the Health and Safety Authority has been notified. Mayor of Tralee, Terry O'Brien, says it's tragic news.
It's terrible, absolutely awful. You know, again, the same individual would be very well known. Himself and his family would be very respected in the town. So it's an awful way to start and an awful time. And any time of year is particularly hard, but, you know, coming up to Christmas now and all that goes with that. So, yeah, we're very, very saddened here in Tralee this morning and very, very shocked at what's happened in the middle of our town.
An infectious disease expert says he's concerned the reopening of restaurants could lead to an increase in super spreader events over Christmas. From Tuesday, the country will move back to level 3 restrictions with the reopening of retail and places of worship. Indoor dining in restaurants and pubs serving food will resume from Friday. Professor Sam McConkey from the Royal College of Surgeons says allowing some hospitality businesses to reopen is a risk.
I personally would have restricted it more because we know there are super spreader events, unfortunately, in these crowded social events where people are talking loudly and singing. Now, it really depends on the restaurant industry, how well that they can keep the environment safe.
A man's been arrested in connection with the murder of a mother and her 2 children in Dublin last month. The bodies of 37-year-old Seema Banu, her 11-year-old daughter Asfira and 6-year-old son Faizan were discovered at their home in Ballantyre on October 28th. Gardaí investigating the murders arrested a man in his 30s this morning. He's currently being detained at Dundrum Garda Station. And Penneys will open 2 of its stores for one 24-hour period next week. The retailer's announced all of its stores will have extended trading hours when they reopen on Tuesday. Shops in cities and major shopping centres will trade until 10 p.m, while outlets in towns will open until 9 p.m. Dublin's Blanchardstown and Dundrum outlets will open their doors at 7 a.m. on Tuesday and continue trading until 10 p.m. on Wednesday. It's 2 minutes past 2.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. Download the new AA app to request a roadside rescue and track the patrol right to your car.
Mostly dry today with some rain in the south and west. Cold with highest temperatures of 6 to 11 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Saturday Panel on Off the Ball.
This is the Saturday Panel on Off the Ball on News Talk with John Duggan until 5 o'clock. You can text us on 53106. You can tweet us at Off the Ball. We're streaming live as well. You can watch us on the Off the Ball social channels for Periscope on Twitter at Off the Ball, on YouTube, Facebook and on the new OTB Sports app. Search OTB Sports in your app store now to download it for iOS and Android if you haven't already. We're chatting to 3 senior, now former intercounty managers on this week's Saturday Panel. Lenny Harbinson, who was in charge of Antrim this year, Benji Whelan, who was over the Waterford senior team, and the ex-Carlow boss Turlough O'Brien. Before we continue our conversation, you can text us on 53106. Let's get a full time from the Camogie All-Ireland semi-final, Kilkenny and Cork, with the Liberty Insurance Ambassador Mags Darcy. And Mags, the Cats, or the Kittens I should say, have done it.
They have indeed, John. A magnificent display in the second half, from defence through to midfield. Everything about them was incredible, and they came away with a 2-point win, which puts them in, that's Kilkenny, into their 6th straight All-Ireland final now. But it really was down to an efficient second half performance, and I have to say Cork's 7 wides and drop place balls from frees, they really will rue those opportunities when they I suppose analyse the game as sorts, John. But it's been an incredible advertisement for Camogie. The conditions weren't favourable for either team, but just a brilliant second half.
Yeah, Kilkenny 2-10, Cork 1-11 on Lee's side, and they'll play now Galway or Tipperary. Mags, who were the key performers for Kilkenny?
Well, it started, I suppose, if the Cork, Amy O'Connor opened up the second half with a sterling run off a ruck ball in the middle of the field. She turned off her right, run straight towards the 21 and was pulled down, and that kind of set the tempo we all felt here in the stand up in the media box for Cork to push on. But after that, 2 minutes later, once that point was converted from the free, Miriam Walsh fielded a lovely ball directly off of Denise Gall, and she took the ball in the 45, ran straight towards goal, rounded the goalkeeper and slotted it down into the back of the net. So that goal really turned Kilkenny's intensity rate up. So for me, it was Miriam Walsh's goal. You had then for Chloe Sigerson had great points from play, although those, as I said, those frees wide that she was set on and a couple of place balls from sidelines really are chances Cork will rue. And Alton again was fabulous in the middle of the field. She was kind of directing and calling the shots, even on set plays. You had the likes of up front, you had Mary O'Connell was excellent as well. A really good team performance, John, from Kilkenny in the second half. That's all I can describe it as.
OK, Mags, back to you for updates from Galway and Tipperary throughout the second semi-final. Liverpool leading Brighton 1-0 in the Premier League. Diogo Jota with the goal. And that has Liverpool now on the verge of going top of the Premier League. What have we got elsewhere? Reading leading Bristol City by 1-0 in the Championship. Just go through the other matches in the Championship. Birmingham City taking on Millwall, Blackburn Rovers Barnsley, Cardiff City versus Luton Town, Derby County against Wycombe Wanderers, Huddersfield Town versus Middlesbrough, Norwich City against Coventry City, Rotherham United against Bournemouth, Sheffield Wednesday against Stoke City, and Watford versus Preston North End. And in the Premier League, a little bit later on, 3 o'clock start for Manchester City against Burnley, Everton against Leeds United at 5:30, and West Bromwich Albion against Sheffield United kicking off at 8 o'clock. So we're on the Saturday panel speaking about Gaelic football and the structures of the Championship and what we've seen the last 7 days. Turlough O'Brien, so you've been kind of positively talking about the provincial championship there. If you were in charge of, if you were the Director General for a day and you got to design the championship, would it be along the lines that are being set forward at the moment, where you've got an inter-county season from February to July, the club season after that, you've got the leagues, and then you've got the championship from April to July, no Super 8s and qualifiers involved?
Well, look, I've been talking about this for a long time now, and my opinion is that this is the way forward. And I think COVID has maybe provided an opportunity for GA now to make radical change pretty quickly. The split season was a huge success this year. There's no question. It has shown us the importance of the club. It really reinforced that. I think the clubs benefited enormously. We all saw county finals streaming on the internet, and the standard was really, really good because clubs had access to their players for such a long time. That benefited the clubs. The standard overall improved. And don't forget, particularly for counties like Carlow and Antrim and Waterford, when you have good club competition, you're going to have good county teams. So that's really the importance of having the split season for me. But also, I think the real thing that needs to be grasped is to decide, first and foremost, how long do you want your county season to be? That's going to determine then the competition structures. And in my opinion, the way forward is, we've seen in the last few weeks, the knockout championship, we saw Kerry go out, we saw Donegal go out, we saw Tyrone go out, we saw Cork go out. Knockout championship provides that opportunity. If you run the championship in conjunction with the league at the same time, in a much narrower time frame, I think you create massive interest in the league alongside the championship. You're going to have teams switching between league games and championship games, and it will be fascinating to see the dynamics that occur as a result. I think you could have league games on a Friday night between neighbouring counties. You could open a whole new interest level in inter-county games and compact the season and allow those players then go back to their clubs and improve the overall standard of the game across the whole country.
Lenny, do you agree with what Turlough was saying there? I put out a tweet during the week about the structure of the championship in the wake of the Tipperary and Cavan wins. I got about 60 responses, and every single one is 4 groups of 8 or 8 groups of 4. Every county would get a certain number of games, and then you'd have, say, a last 16, and then you'd have a second 16 for maybe the weaker counties. For me, my personal opinion is, we've just heard what Turlough said there, you have the championship in the spring, you still have your Tipperary stories, you still have your Cavan stories, and then you've got a league championship in the summer. So you've got the provinces in the spring and a league championship in the summer with 4 divisions of 8 or whatever way you want to do it, and listeners can text in on 53106, because what I'm seeing is keeping the interest of players, stopping them from dropping out for a county like Antrim. You need to have a meaningful situation where you have a Division 4 final, you've had 7 matches, you've got a Division 4 final, it's on, say, the Friday of a super weekend at Croke Park, there's silverware, there's all-stars, there's marketing, there's publicity, and there's a meaning behind it. Is that something you would agree with, or would you have a different view?
Broadly speaking, John, I would agree with the split season. Absolutely. Where I would disagree with what Turlough has said is in terms of the actual championship structure. As I alluded to earlier, I'm a big believer in the current structure of the league, and there's 7 guaranteed games there. And what players want and need, particularly in the lower levels, is competitive games to bring them along. So that's the first thing. So I would continue with the league. I would look at Division 3 and 4, and you can do something similar in Division 1 and 2. From a Division 3 and 4 perspective, split them into, let's say, 4 groups of 4. And the top team in each group qualifies in the semi-final and then a final. So again, you're guaranteed another 3 championship games on top of the 7 league games. And if you progress through, then you're getting, obviously, if you go to semi-final and final, you're getting an extra couple of games. For me, that's what county players in Waterford, Carlow, Leitrim, Antrim, whatever, we need more games to improve the experience and players and everything else. And then what you could do is the winner of that competition could have a ticket then in the following year to go into the Sam Maguire and compete at a level maybe where they could actually compete. So that's, for me, that's what the structure should be. And you alluded to earlier there too about players and turnover. Like I used 73 players in my 3 years in Antrim. So turnover is a massive problem for particularly Division 4 teams. And to try and keep people interested, to keep those players interested, they need to be playing in competitions like the league where they and everybody in Division 4 this year feels that they have a great chance of getting promoted. And they also need to play in a championship where they feel that they have a chance of winning something meaningful and being rewarded for it in terms of the proper PR.
Did you go through 73 players, Benji, Whelan and Waterford? What's your roadmap for making it a more brilliant experience than it possibly is at the moment?
Look, I think the two lads are onto something here. I mean, I broadly agree with both of them. I'm not too sure. My own feeling was that the two-tiered competition was providing something that we hadn't had before, and I was excited about the prospect of that. But I do agree with Lenny 100% that, and I've seen this myself, the more games our guys played, the better they got. And the more bedded into them, perhaps the system, the more comfortable they became, because it is a good step up. And as Lenny has alluded to there, we were dealing with new guys most of the time. Year on year, you're dealing with new guys. Perhaps they're not starters for you, but they're definitely, going to be candidates to come in at some stage, and they need to feel comfortable out on that pitch. So the more game time they get under their belts, the better they get, and the more comfortable they are in, like I say, playing in that jersey. I just, with Waterford in particular, we found it definitely difficult to get games, I mean, even challenge matches. And look, it's understandable. We know where we are. And that was a difficulty for us, I suppose. So the league, the first couple of league games are really, glorified challenge matches for us, albeit that they were very, very important. But we were still, we'll say, trying to knit the structures in place as regards how we were going to play, and we'll say what player was going to man exact positions and so on and so forth. So more games will really help guys. And like Lenny has said there, keeping guys interested is key. I don't see any reason why these championship matches cannot be played, at the latest 2 weeks later. I this 3-4 week gap between games is absolutely nonsensical to me. If you have enough of a panel, and we're all carrying decent numbers in panels now, we've got to give them the opportunity to play in these games. And I just think that what you've said earlier there, the league and then the league championship, that would be the best scenario, because we're getting more games under our belts.
And Turlough, we saw with Carlow the rate of progression that came under you. I think you believe you shipped 7 goals to Meath in your first season. You eventually then beat Kildare in the championship. You qualified from League 4. You reached a Division 4 final. How did you see the players react to the fact that they were improving? They were beginning to win matches. They felt a degree of success around it. Did their lives measurably improve, or was it a sense that there was always a ceiling with it, and the ceiling was that was a ceiling?
No, I think expectations are a huge thing in the GAA, and the big problem that they suffered in Carlow was that expectations were so low, and you always fulfil those expectations, but suddenly the expectations started to change. And we go back to the year before Kildare, we played Dublin. We probably gave Dublin one of the toughest games I've had the last 10 years. I mean, if you look at the Leinster final last week, the semi-final, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And quite honest with you, from Meath and Kildare, strong counties. And I just think that our expectations began to change from the time around the Dublin game. We had Monaghan down here as well. We had Monaghan who actually should have beaten them. And then obviously next year we beat Kildare. So expectations were rising. We were getting belief in ourselves. Where Germany was going to take us. We had Tyrone at Donegal Park as well. It was a fantastic game with Tyrone. these are massive occasions for Carlow supporters as well, and for promotion of the game locally. And I fear that if we lose those opportunities, we're going to become a real backwater. And I think we're cutting our nose off to spite our face here because we have a county dominating the championships. This is not unusual in sport. If you look at the Premiership in England, 3 teams have taken 15 of the last 20 titles in the Premiership. So even at professional level, this happens. And in professional sports, you will see them try to provide some form of equalisation so that everybody can compete. In American football, you have the draft. You have FIFA talking about financial fair play. So there's a lot of things that can happen, the salary caps and so on that they have in those professional sports. But they bring in measures to achieve competitive balance. And that's what we're lacking in the GAA. The structures do not help the weaker county. If you go back to, the qualifiers and so on, they suit Dublin of this world, to Kerry and all these counties, because they get a second bite of the cherry. They're not going to lose a second time. Knock them out once in the Knocker Championship and they're gone. That was the beauty of the last few weeks. These things were going like 10 pins on the world. And there was such a buzz around the country about football, which we haven't had for a while. And I just feel that, we talk about having, a secondary competition, but the reality is that secondary competition probably dominated by the teams who currently would sit in top Division 3. And that means that the likes of Division 4 counties might never get to a final. They might never have that opportunity. And they might never get a chance then to play again against, you had Antrim, who had Cavan on the rack for 3/4 of the game, probably could have won that game not so long ago. Those occasions will be gone for counties if we start to divide the GAA into the haves and have-nots, in my opinion. And I think we've got to be more ambitious than that. I think we've got to recognise that we have a problem, but it is a problem shared by 31 counties, not that there's a massive gulf between Division 3 and 4, Division 2 and the bottom to Division 1 even. Because on their day, I think all these counties can be very competitive against those counties, barring the Dublin situation at the moment. But that's the issue for me.
And Benji, when I look at it, Dublin have in the 5-0 run, they drew 2 of them. 2 of them were went to replays. 2 of them they won by a point, and the only comfortable one there was possibly Tyrone when they won by 6 points. So are Dublin as dominant as Turlough is maybe saying? Obviously in Leinster they are. They won by 21 points the last day.
Well, my feeling is the only way they'll be beaten is if they slip. That would be my feeling on it. I mean, I think, look, they've provided ample proof that they're by far and away the strongest, most athletic, and now, they have probably the most football in the country from a player perspective. It's extremely difficult to see them being beaten even once. I think something has to be done. All right, I'm not 100% sure as regards what way it can be worked out. I don't like the idea. This is bandied around about dividing Dublin in 2. I don't like that idea. I share the lads' perspective though that they have achieved what they've achieved, and perhaps the population wise, there is that argument. But I mean, it's up to the other counties, and it's up to, I suppose, Central Council to resource the other counties effectively enough to make it a viable prospect for kids to want to go and play football and want to go and play hurling, I suppose, as well. But if we can get our numbers up, if we can get more of a foundation of players underneath us in these weaker counties, so-called weaker counties, we can compete better then, because we're going to get a better prospect of a young lad or a young girl coming through, with better skills. And I suppose that's kind of where Waterford are at now. I mean, that's my perspective on it. Re-looking at or going back and having a review of all our structures underage to see what we can do with hard work to rectify the situation and make it that bit better. But certainly, I mean, Central Council can help here by acknowledging that there is an issue first of all, and then we'll say addressing that issue in whatever ways they deem possible.
Lenny, does Turlough have a point in that the only way Dublin or Kerry are going to get beaten is by being shocked, and the more games they have, the harder it is to beat them?
Yes, I suppose to a certain degree, but I remember back in the 80s, Kerry dominated. Kerry won 4 in a row, then they lost to Offaly in that great game, and then they come back and won 3 in a row. So for almost 10 years in the 80s, Kerry were the number 1 team. And this type of debate was taking place back then too. Kerry are too strong, who else is going to win the All-Ireland? Dublin have risen to the challenge, and fair play to them. I suppose there's a number of elements to the juggernaut of Dublin. I remember in 1986 playing in a 7-a-side competition in Kilmacud Crooks on the eve of the All-Ireland. We actually won it. But I remember speaking to one of the clubmen in Kilmacud, and they were heart scared of the rise of rugby and soccer. No disrespect to those sports, but we're competing with them, around the Kilmacud Crooks area. And that was their big fear. And I can understand Central Council down through the years looking at the inner needs or the urban needs of the inner city, the likes of Dublin, and investing a fair bit of money in the likes of Dublin for all the right reasons. But I think now the time has come for Central Council. I think they made 63 million last year in income, of which 22% of it goes towards game development. So something like 14 million. So a big chunk of that, over a million, 1.6 or something, went to Dublin. Central Council need to take a step back and say, as in any business, and say, where is the greatest need for this 14 million in terms of game development? And is it back with the counties which are struggling? And do we need to raise the standard there? And how do you raise the standard there? Is by getting more feet on the ground, qualified coaches, going around the schools and the clubs and trying to raise the standard that way. And that's what Central Council have to do. Dublin themselves have got their own house in order. They've got a massive leg up, and good luck to them. But it's up to other counties, particularly who have the financial resources like Mayo and Tyrone and carrying that to meet that challenge of Dublin, but also for Central Council to help all the other counties in an equitable manner. And then the last thing I would say, John, is, and I look at my own county, and this probably could be replicated across lots of counties in Division 4. My own county needs to help itself too. It's been 35 years since we last got into a McCrory Cup final. So what is going on at schools level, post-primary level? That's a question I have. And what are we in Antrim? And what's our chairman in Antrim doing about that? It's been 38 years since we won a minor, 30 years since we won an under-21 at Ulster level, and 70 years since we won senior. Yes, Gaelfast is a step in the right direction in terms of £1 million over the next 5 years at primary school level, where out of nearly 50,000 kids, we had 2,000 who are actually participating in Gaelic games. So massive challenge there to get more participation. But for me, the big challenge goes back to county chair. I think he's in his last year. He told me last year he'd be going for 3 years. So this is his last year. So, the county chair for me needs to leave a legacy, and that legacy this year should be post-primary, getting coaching, into the secondary school level and grammar schools, and start to compete at schools level, because I, as a county manager in the last 3 years, very much felt that I was possibly doing a holding job in terms of, yes, get out of Division 4 and get into Division 3. The next 2 or 3 managers are going to find it very difficult, and that's not being negative. It's just, if you look at the history and the facts, we don't have youngsters coming up through the ranks who've been winning at minor and under 21 the way Calvin and the way Tipperary to a certain degree have been doing it, and they're the big challenges across the association.
Pascal Gross, just to interrupt, has scored for Brighton in injury time with a penalty. Brighton won, Liverpool won in the Premier League. Liverpool will still go top with a draw, which is just about to happen in the Premier League. Interesting, thoughtful stuff there, Lenny and Benji and Turlough. Just before we wrap up, All-Stars, Turlough, who would definitely be in your early All-Stars team now in Gaelic football?
Well, I think I'd have to have Thomas Gallagher as my captain anyway. I think he's been inspirational. I really, really take with how he's played right through the championship. He's been the heart and soul of that Cavan team. And a couple of others, Pádraig Faulkner, cornerback, has been a brilliant Tigers cornerback for them as well. Michael Langan there, Donegal wing forward, I thought was very impressive. Jordan Morris, Meath, he had a big score against Wicklow, and he scored against Dublin, one of the few Meath players that did, I suppose. I'd give a shout out, actually, again, across the divisions. I think Ian Corbett from Limerick has been outstanding for Limerick in the league and in the championship, and I think it should be recognised. And they got promoted this year. And same with Dean Healy with Wicklow. I think he's been a great servant for Wicklow. They're guys that won't be mentioned normally, but to me, they're guys worth considering and should start to get a nomination. I think Conor McKenna's impact when he came back from Aussie Rules was phenomenal for Tyrone. And of course, the three Tipperary lads, Colin Reardon, Conor Sweeney, Michael Quinlan have been immense, They're names that popped out to me now rather than the usual suspects.
And Benji, who'll be on your All-Star 15 early doors?
Well, I suppose you can't look beyond, would say, the usual names. I mean, James McCarthy, perhaps, David Clifford, Brian Fenton, those kind of guys. But I suppose what intrigues me and what I'm interested to see is, like was just mentioned there with Turlough, the Tipperary lads. I mean, they're close to home here, and I'm just interested to see, will they continue on their good form? And if they do, could they upset the apple cart once again? And you're thinking of Quinlivan coming in there and having a big day, and Sweeney as well. He was a guy that really held them really well when they were in the mix in that Limerick game. So it'll be interesting to see can these guys really perform at that level and perhaps beyond it the next day. And who knows what could happen if they do.
Lenny, who'll be on your All-Star 15 so far?
Well, unfortunately, I think the All-Stars will be based on the semi-finals and the final of the All-Ireland. That seems to be the format. So anybody who's done really well in the league in the last number of years is probably going to be ignored. So I quite like Patton from the Donegal perspective. Johnny Cooper, for me, I'd always have him in there. Johnny's a step away from giving you a pat in the head or a slap in the head, but a great footballer, and I'd have him every single day in my team. Paddy Durgan, most certainly from Mayo. Like Brian Fenton, absolutely fabulous footballer. Kieran Kilkenny is playing super stuff again for Dublin, particularly in that deeper role. And most certainly the couple of Tipperary guys stood out for me, Quinlivan and Sweeney. So a couple of usual suspects plus one or two. Thomas Galligan must give him a shout out in the middle of the park, from Calvin. So for me, there would be early All-Stars at present.
It's ended 1-1 between Brighton and Liverpool in the Premier League. Liverpool going top, but only 1 point, not 3. Okay, guys, just before we finish up, let's call the All-Ireland. Is it going to be Mayo, first time since 1951, Tipperary, 100 years on since 1920, Cavan, back to the glory days when they were the kings of Ireland, or is it going to be a Dublin 6 in a row? Benji, who's going to win it?
Dublin.
I could have predicted that. Lenny, would you be in the same boat? Are Dublin going to make it 6?
Yes, I have to go with Benji. Just the way Dublin are playing at present, they are absolutely super. And
Turlough, any?
I'd like to think that Mayo could do it, but there's a lot of new faces in there, so there's quite a bit of inexperience in it. So to me, it looks like Dublin as well.
All right. Well, Turlough O'Brien, Benji White and Lenny Harbinson, very interesting thoughts about the structure of the championship, your experience this year, and what you can do in counties like Carlow, Waterford and Antrim to get more younger people involved in Gaelic games and to hopefully gain success in the next 10 to 15 years. Thanks so much for your time on the Saturday panel this afternoon, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Okay, the 2020 GA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship is well underway, as we've just spoken about there. To celebrate Super Value as part of their Support Where You're From campaign, have given us some great prizes to give away. To get your favourite ticket stub, match programme, jersey photo with your hero, any GA-related items you've been dying to tell the country about, make a 20-second video explaining its significance, get them into us on any OTB social channel or on WhatsApp to 087 9180 180. That is 087 9180 180. We'll choose a winner every Friday during the championship, each weekly winner landing a €200 Super Value voucher. Also the chance to star in Super Value's Superfan series, a fly-in-the-wall peek inside the homes of dedicated supporters around the country. All with thanks to Super Value, proud sponsors of the GA Football All-Ireland Senior Championship. See youtube.com/Super Value Ireland for more details. This is Off the Ball Saturday on News Talk. Back to preview Kilkenny and Waterford after this.
The Saturday panel on Off the Ball. This weekend, News Talk and Champion Green have come together to support local businesses right across the country by turning Black Friday green.
I'm Marion O'Gorman, CEO of Kilkenny Design. It is now more important than ever in the midst of a pandemic to spend your money locally while retaining local jobs. Please use your spending power this Christmas to help renew your community and the local economy.
Shop local, click local and give local this Christmas. Take the pledge to Champion Green now at championgreen.ie. Proudly supported by Newstalk. Because it's up to us.
Championship Hurling. It's great to be back. At Centra, we have everything you need for a quick half-time snack. Like Centra sausage rolls 6-pack, only €1. Centra tea bags 80-pack, only €1.40. And Centra Choco Finger Bars 8-pack, only €1.52. Centra, proud sponsors of the Hurling Championship.
Make the most of every driving moment, however short these journeys are for now. Surround yourself with comfort, style and innovation. Choose from the award-winning range of Peugeot SUVs, the 2008 and fully electric E2008, the all-new 3008, petrol, diesel or plug-in hybrid, and the new 5008 with 7 seats, and all with our unique iCockpit interior. Visit Peugeot.ie for more. Peugeot, unboring the future.
With over 20 years' experience in the healthcare industry, GS Medical continues to support both the public and SMEs with our medical-grade PPE products. With surgical face masks now from 29 cent and face shields from €2